All right. Well, that didn't fade in. That's not exactly what we wanted, but it is season 3, episode 3 of Field Pass Hockey's flagship AHL podcast, the Holy GrAHL. And it is your 3 favorite hosts here bringing you all the action, all the excitement, all the vibes of this week's AHL action. We're going to go around the horn and check in on everyone. Sam, how's she going, eh?
Going good. I was in Wilkes-Barre last night, and the boys brought home a Wednesday night win, so that was nice to see. And they kind of smothered Hershey in the last period there, so.
Did it make you feel good to kind of take it to the defending champs there?
Oh, yeah, it did.
Yeah, for sure. Dee, down there in sunny old Houston, how's she going, eh?
Well, it wasn't sunny today. It was really rainy, actually. My weather app kept being like light precipitation starting at blah, blah, blah time. And I was like, cool, I'm going to take a nap all day.
Did you nap well?
Yeah. I got some mozzarella sticks and a big old Dr. Pepper and just passed out on my couch for a little while.
Nothing like a little bit of comfort food to really get the naps going. Well, our girls are doing well. Andrew Rinaldi here. I'm doing well. I just got back from a nice little excursion out in the Rocky Mountains, seeing the Grand Rapids Griffins drop a couple of games to the Colorado Eagles. I was really kind of blown away with Blue Arena out there in Loveland. The place was rocking. They have a whole, you guys need to see it, a whole Voodoo Ranger lounge, and it looks like the most lit landscape in the American Hockey League, maybe in the entire state of Colorado. It was a blast. It's a tiny, but it's an intimate barn, and the fans out there are wild. I was actually really impressed with it. Not so much impressed with the Griffins going out there and losing 2 straight games, but it's okay. It's early in the season. It's very early. And so, go ahead.
You know, I just have to say, even though my background is blurred, I hate that you can tell which jersey this is right now. I won't say which player it is, but you can definitely tell what team it is.
We know. I've seen your background enough. I know what jersey that is.
My background's not blurred. We still probably don't know what jersey that is. So,
Colorado College.
My favorite tiny collegiate hockey program, Colorado College.
I saw a fan wearing a hat this past weekend out there, and like I didn't, obviously a complete stranger, so I didn't really acknowledge them, but I saw the logo, I saw the colors, and I was like, I recognize your game, sir. And you know, it was one of those, you see a passing stranger and you give them like the nod, like where but again, you don't really want to initiate conversation because I don't know who you are. I'm not even from the same state, but I recognize. Anyway, I've kind of got into a little bit of what we had going on this past weekend, and of course, now that the season's actually really going here, we've had a lot of action. Sam touched on nice little 5-1 action there for Wilkes-Barre. Obviously, we've got a shout out there for a little bit of Lehigh, see in the background, in case for anyone who's not watching on YouTube, can't see Sam's blurred out background, but you know it's the Lehigh Valley Phantoms being represented.
It's Tanner Lazinski's Flyers jersey.
At least it's not his Ohio State jersey.
I can get that out.
But don't. We've already started off so good. Why do you want to bring it down?
She's committed now. She's like,
at least it's blurred.
Yeah, but it's again we're talking about good vibes here. We want to bring in Ohio. Sorry for everyone actually in Ohio, but it just would be better if it was maize and blue. Is all I'm saying.
Well, Tanner's my boy, so Ohio State will forever be.
Understandable. There's still a lot of great action going on this past weekend. Before we kind of touch in what each individual kind of teams are doing, I really want to look at one player who's really stuck out this first couple of weeks. It's Joshua Waugh. I mean, he's been at the top of the leaderboard and scoring basically since the opening shots of the season. And D, what are you seeing out of this kid that he's been just lighting this league up so far?
Well, same thing that like he's always brought to the table. He's got such a great awareness on the ice of like what's happening around him, what plays can he make to get to where he needs to be. That's the thing about him is he always seems like he's in exactly the right spot. I mean, crazy hockey IQ, crazy playmaking and finishing ability on that guy. There's a reason everybody was so excited to see him come up from juniors. He's an incredible player to watch. It's really fun, especially when, you know, there might be a lot of struggles around that player, that you have somebody who's so young and so already incredible at bringing the energy and everything that he needs to finish and play a complete game.
Yeah, with 11 points in 5 games, he's already over doubling up the point a game pace. But Laval's still sitting there with just 1 win. So when you got a guy that's firing it up like that, what's going on with the squad? They can't kind of give him some support there.
Well, it's Laval Rocket hockey. The issue with the Rocket is that they do usually rely on 1 or 2 players to do a lot of their scoring in the early parts of the season, and then everybody else kind of starts ramping up. Unfortunately, they also, you know, lost some players that are incredible for them. They're still kind of reeling. You know, they've got all of the players that they relied on up with the Habs. They've got, you know, a lot of ECHL guys and people who this is maybe their first year of playing hockey at this level, that they don't have the tools in their toolbox right now, or kind of the experience as a team right now to give players like that kind of support.
Talking about some guys that Laval's missing here in the early this season. I know there was one that you kind of made a call on earlier.
Yeah, Yoel Armia. He did, in fact, become the first call-up from the Laval Rocket to the Montreal Canadiens because of injury.
Yeah, on my end, I had a similar situation in Grand Rapids where Jonathan Berggren started off first couple games in Grand Rapids, but you knew it wasn't going to last long. But I get out to Colorado. I'm waiting to see what he can do live in person again. And literally the day before, there's one of those call ups. Yeah, it's just I know it's the nature of this league, right? I get it. I understand, and I've come to terms with it, and I'm at my personal peace with it. Did you have to do it the day before? And it's okay. And if you call him up, I get it. He's the first call up. Should he even really be starting Grand Rapids? Probably, but you know, things are the way they are in Detroit. You didn't have to call him up and then sit him in the press box. That's where I was really like, free my boy Yanni Burgers. But he's back in the lineup this Thursday night, playing against Winnipeg. So you know, I'll be rooting for that kid until the day he decides to hang him up. But again, that's just the nature of this league. You know, we root for these guys. We want to have the opportunity to see them grow up, and then they grow up too fast. I need to like slow the clock down a little bit on some of these guys.
Well, and like I was telling you today, you know, Flyers fan base was having a meltdown. I mean, like I said, a guy could breathe the wrong way and there would be a meltdown. But Emile Andre got sent down. It's not that Torts didn't like his play or anything. He's just not playing the right way. He got exposed to the NHL. He knows what he needs to work on, and now he's going to get those top playing minutes in Lehigh. Vinny Hinostroza and Radom Zahorna got called up to Pittsburgh, and Corey Andonovsky, probably pronounced that wrong, got assigned to Wilkes-Barre. It's kind of a shuffling game right now to see where guys need to be.
Yeah, this early in the season, I feel like everyone's kind of getting, the vibe of their rosters and everything. Some guys, there might be a log jam. Montreal carrying an extra goalie. I know Detroit carrying an extra goalie. So these guys kind of waiting for that first injury to really come up and see their NHL time, which again kind of ties into the whole idea of, just because someone gets assigned to the American League, it doesn't mean like this is the end of their career. Put a fork in them, they're done. Things shift so quickly in this league and in this entire game that 2 weeks in and how look at all the transactions that you're already seeing. So a lot of fans can kind of have this idea that it's like a death sentence for some of these young players to get sent down, especially early in the season, even halfway through the season. And we really kind of got to get rid of that notion that, the American League is just like you're getting banished to the shadow realm, because these guys clearly have so much hockey left to offer, not just at this level, but at the next level. And you see where they develop their skills, where they kind of get a sense of who they are as players here before you go up to the big club and you really start to, come into your own. And I want to put more of a spotlight on that, and I hope more people kind of get to understand that as part of this game instead of just becoming more of your casual, like, oh, they're going down to the American League. Oh, guess we'll never see them again because, well, here you are, like Johnny Burgers, Yoel and Maria, they're all coming back, and I don't think they're going away anytime soon.
I'd be interested to know where the perception, like that particular perception of the AHL comes from. Like, where is it written in stone or in the hockey commandments that if you need to go to the AHL for any reason, that you're never going to see NHL ice time ever again? I mean, that baffles me.
I have always forever said, I think it was Daily Puck or Daily Faceoff said something about a demotion last season, and I went mental. Like, the AHL is not a demotion. Even the ECHL is not a demotion. These leagues are here to help you develop as a player. They're not a death sentence. And somebody said, "Oh, well, the ECHL is a death sentence." It's not, though. It's there. It's there to help you develop into an AHL player, just like an AHL is there to help you develop into an NHL player. It's not a death sentence like people have this perception about it to be. In fact, these leagues are more fun than the NHL, to be honest.
Yeah, well, I mean, a really good example of how it's not a death sentence is Alex Belzile. He spent most of his career in the ECHL until the Rocket needed to call him up. Then last season or whatever, he got so much NHL ice time because the Canadians needed him and he was reliable and they knew that they could trust him to play, when they needed him. That's what I don't understand. I mean, he was way older than most guys you think of getting their first NHL game, scoring their first NHL goal, because he spent most of his career in the ECHL. And then captain of the Laval Rocket in the AHL. Like, come on.
Yeah.
I mean, when you look at all the numbers of graduates that are in the NHL currently, it kind of seems like you have to come through the American League at some point. And if you have to, take a step back and kind of collect your game here, it's again, it's not a bad thing. How many guys have stints where they have to come down to the AHL, and even just, it might just be the warding, or you're getting sent down, you're coming down to the, it's the idea of the minors and everything. And it's not as, as big, as bright and flashy lights. I'd be really curious to know. I mean, obviously the media itself doesn't do, it's the league any favors by saying, getting sent to the minors. What's wrong with him? Blah, blah, blah. But I also wonder kind of a player's mentality as well, especially some guys who are a little more established in the NHL. And then, you're a guy like Adam Ernie with several hundred NHL games, and now you're getting, an assignment to Grand Rapids last year. Especially, you pass through waivers, and then you find yourself there on the Griffins. He wasn't there long, but again, I wonder if it's that mentality of like, oh, I'm a guy who's been established in the National League for so long. Now I'm here, and I feel like I'm not, like, I don't belong here, or I did something, I screwed up, and now I'm here. It's just it's this negative connotation that comes down with an assignment into the American League, and I don't know if it's perpetuated more by the media or the players or whatever, but we are here to kind of scrub that notion away. And again, when you see the list of all the guys that have come through, all the big time players at this level and the next level, I'm done with the American Hockey League disrespect. I can tell you that much.
Or even someone like Zach McEwen, who is, I would say established in the NHL. He's made his mark. Gets sent down. He got sent down for a few games to Lehigh last season while he was with the Flyers, and then he got sent down to Belleville, and he's staying in Belleville. Ian LaPerriere said last year, most guys mope when they have to get sent down, but he embraces it. If the coach tells him something, he says, yes, coach. He takes it in stride. Most players should take it in stride and not mope, and work on the skills that you have to work on at a league and level that you can. Don't sit there and then just lackadaisical just because you don't want to be there. There's a situation going on like that right now. So
yeah, I think it's all about the mindset. Definitely also the framing, right? When people talk about a player got sent down. So I like that teams nowadays are using loaned to instead of like sent down, or they're saying reassigned to instead of demoted. Yeah, that way, that's helping a lot with like the framing and the perception of it. When somebody is loaned somewhere, means that they could probably be of use there, or that they have something there that the player needs, right? When somebody is reassigned somewhere, that lets you know that you're still in the system, you're still in the organization. You don't really have anything to worry about. We're just kind of putting you here for the time being. I really like that terminology and the way that teams are starting to announce and phrase it. Unfortunately, it's not enough, because like it sucks. You dream all of your life playing NHL hockey. Just playing professional hockey realistically is not going to be good enough for everybody. Like you don't want to just be like almost good enough. You want to be good enough. So I think that's part of where it comes from.
Mm-hmm.
And it's upsetting.
I don't know, because it is not, the top level that you'll ever kind of get to completely erase that perception of it being a negative to go from the NHL to the AHL. Obviously, from AHL to NHL, it's, we're popping champagne bottles and we're, planning celebrations for these guys. But when it comes back around the other way, it's a human thing to feel disappointment, because you, especially if you have confidence in your ability to stick around at the NHL, and then teams like, hey, we're assigning you to Belleville or whatever. It's a little bit of humble pie for sure, but it's never inherently a bad thing, that you get to work on your game and at a level where you have the freedom to do so, where you're not going to quite get rocked for it so much like you would at the National League, and you get to just tweak on it a little bit. And that's one of the things I've always kind of loved about this game at the American level. But again, it's just kind of a human emotion. You want to be at the top of the class, and if you're not there, I can certainly understand the frustration. But you have to constantly remind people that he's not going to hell, he's going to Grand Rapids, which isn't far off from the truth. But
I don't know, it feels kind of like the opposite to me. Hell, flames, fire, Grand Rapids. Not that. I'm probably closer, honestly.
If hell was a physical place, it'd probably be in Texas.
Probably be Texas, for sure.
PA's been really bipolar the last couple of days with its weather. So today it was kind of like hell. It was like 75 degrees. I should not be walking around in like a tank top and shorts at the end of August. And when I was walking out of my car into the Mohegan Sun Arena last night, I was sweating. It was warm in Wilkes-Barre. It should not be warm in Wilkes-Barre at the end of October. It should be like 32 degrees.
It was like 80 in Colorado this past weekend. I went from Michigan, where it was 45, to 80 in the mountains. My entire worldview was kind of shattered this weekend on how I perceive Earth and its weather patterns. And
Dee's just sitting there like, you guys are talking about like 80-degree weather, and it's like 100 down here.
And 90 degrees. Yeah. That's cool for us. Yeah.
That's why I said hell would exist in Texas.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure.
Speaking of Texas, the state that has a whole team named after it, those Stars, after starting off the weekend 0-2 2 weekends ago, now they're 3-2, looking like the squad that won the Central last year, at least during the regular season. Can't say so much during the playoffs, but got to cover a couple of games with the old Wolves trying to gain a couple points here. Let me tell you something about them Wolves. The American Revolution also had a bit of a rough and rocky start. George Washington's war record against the Redcoats kind of looked like the Wolves' record going into this weekend. Nice little 1-2, 1-1. So I'm not gonna panic about the Wolves. I'm very curious to see kind of where this team goes. Last night's hockey against Iowa was kind of rough, though. Just in terms of watching the game at all. A nice little 1-0 win for the Iowa Wild, which congratulations. Jesper Wallstedt looks like an absolute blue chipper, but oh man, the rest of that game was just like watching paint dry, and it was tough.
For those of you that are not watching us on YouTube and are listening to us, if you could just imagine the looks that Dee and I are giving Andrew right now.
Yeah, what are you seriously comparing the Chicago Wolves to George Washington right now?
Yes, they declared their independence, and they're in their 1776 era.
How's my boy Adam Shield doing?
I thought this was well established at this point.
Andrew, how's my boy Adam Shield doing?
He's doing as well as one could expect in that crease. Although now that Keith Kincaid's back from New Jersey, he's kind of taken a back seat and probably will take more of a back seat as the season goes on, because Kincaid is the best hope for points from this team right now.
Yeah, for sure. Go off, bestie.
Look, he's great at blocking pucks and he's great at blocking people, okay?
That's true. It's true facts.
That's what he does. Anyway, that was my little. You know, I'm gonna keep on that 1776 energy for the Wolves because eventually, you know, they endured the hard times. Valley Forge is coming up. It's about to get real cold, but you know what? They rallied. They rallied and beat
How
the Red
do
Coats.
we mute him? How do we physically mute Andrew?
What did I
Trying to
do?
figure it out. We
I
can't.
don't know. Did you watch Hamilton last night or something? And you're
No,
like just
I'm
really
telling you, this is
into it.
I've
Andrew,
been. What?
Valley Forge. Valley Forge. I actually live like 45 minutes from Valley Forge, Pennsylvania.
That sounds depressing.
It is depressing.
Yeah.
She was like, that was her entire point. I don't know what you're.
all I'm saying is, you know, the independence movement, rough start, but
He's saying he thinks that the Wolves are going to win it all and they're going to become their own sovereign nation, is what he's saying.
Well, they technically are their own sovereign nation.
and not just any sovereign nation, but the greatest nation in the world. Thank you very much. Back-to-back
Germany, Finland, Great Britain.
Only one of those is back-to-back World War champs. And yeah.
Italy, technically.
It depends which Italians you ask, I guess. That's a complicated subject back in my ancestors' homeland. Anyway,
Kind of going back to that previous conversation about players just going up and down. That Wade Allison tweet I sent you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Bill Meltzer is the Flyers writer, and he asked Ian Perrier about Wade Allison's play because Wade Allison got put on waivers and sent to Lehigh and has been playing in every game so far. Bill Meltzer has said, asked Wade about Wade Allison's play since coming back to LV, Ian Perrier minced no words. The Phantoms coach laced into power forward, saying he has seen nothing positive about Allison's play in the first 4 games to date. He's probably disappointed to be here, LePerrier said, adding that Allison needs to work through it. Look at Laz, LePerrier said, referring to Tanner Lazinski. He's come down and is doing everything. LePerrier also said that every organization, not just the Flyers, noticed. It's come out that Wade Allison was offered to 12 teams and not a single team fit.
Ooh. That's a tough look.
Yeah, that's really tough.
Yeah, when your coach just kind of puts you on the leash and just drags you over the hot pavement like that, that's
and that's tough. That's tough coming from Lappy. And Lappy doesn't like to drag players through mud like that, but I think hopefully it's a wake-up call because a lot of people in Lehigh, like the fan base, has even said we're not seeing anything from him. And coming from my point of view, he's been unnoticeable.
I mean, yeah, it's a rough statement for sure, but sometimes that you kind of need that in order to get the boys going. If the soft and gentle approach isn't working behind the scenes, well, you know what? Sometimes you got to light a fire under a guy and call him out, even publicly sometimes, to really get him going. And sometimes the players would be like, all right, well, I'm going to prove this expletive wrong and go out and play some great hockey. And, you know, it's like the old Herb Brooks treatment where you kind of want to almost be the player's worst enemy because then they'll go out just to prove you wrong and play the best hockey that they can give you.
And I've seen Wade play, and Wade can be an amazing player and a great forward. I want to see that again. He's not showing that.
I'm sure Lappy does too. And maybe this will light that fire. Maybe this will. Some guys they don't respond to that kind of stuff well, and they'll just kind of shut down. So it'll be very interesting to see kind of what Wade Allison can bring to his game if he responds the right way, or he might just say, all right, get me away from this psycho. I want to get traded somewhere.
And then they
that might be one of those.
Oops, sorry, go ahead.
It might be one of those things where he's going to internalize it both ways, though. Like, he's internalized being sent down as, a demotion, even though we have made the case that it's not. And then also, he might internalize the coach or whatever, maybe teammates making these comments, fans making these comments, whoever it is making these comments as, well, is it even worth, getting better if this is what everybody thinks about me? It seems like he's a guy that does do a lot of internalization, if that's how he's going to respond to being loaned to the AHL. It might be that, but it might also be him just being frustrated with his level of play. If he's trying to fight his way back out of the AHL, but he can't seem to make it happen because he's frustrated with his level of play or with, his production, all that kind of fun stuff. He might really just be digging himself deeper into that hole. And comments like that are also probably not going to help, or they could help. They could make him wake up and look in the mirror and say, I got to stop being such a baby and I need to play some hockey.
Yeah. And then they call up Louis Belpedio and Victor Mete.
Nah, Victor Mete.
He's that. They actually have Belpedio in the lineup tonight.
Victor Mete.
It's getting interesting times up there in Philly, huh?
Hey, they recalled Mason Millman from the ECHL. We're doing great. I love Millie.
Oh, we all do. Just kind of going through the motions here. I think now would be a great time for an ad read. Don't you guys agree? Probably
I've been dying to talk about some football. Let's go.
Absolutely. It's for such a wonderful hockey content that we get some footy ball in it. Because you know what? The NFL season is going strong, and DraftKings Sportsbook is hooking new customers up with an offer that's even stronger. Bet $5 on any game this week to score $200 instantly in bonus bets. And DraftKings isn't stopping there. All customers can take advantage of the sweetener offer every game day this October. Why don't you start off with, I don't know, maybe Monday night with the Las Vegas Raiders and the Detroit Lions. That's America's team, the Detroit Lions, that are hosting Monday night coming up here. Yes, don't give me that D. You already know. America loves the Lions. And you know what? We love betting on them too. So why don't you go ahead and get in on the action? Get in on the game day greatness. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use the code THPN. New customers can score $200 instantly in bonus bets when you bet $5 on the NFL. That's code THPN only on DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort. Licensee partner, Golden Nugget Lake Charles. 21 plus, age varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after assurance. See sportsbook.draftkings.com/football. Terms for eligibility and deposit restrictions, terms, and responsible gaming resources. I just feel like I got to sprint through that last little bit, but
I feel like you need to redefine your perception of America's team.
Well, okay, it's not the Dallas Cowboys. I can tell you that. No.
I don't know. It's definitely not the Cowboys, but
does Detroit have Nick Bosa? No.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
No, we got Dan Campbell. He was America's man. So, yes, Motor City Dan Campbell. I don't need. I don't. If you need convincing at this point, yeah, it's already a lost cause. I can't help you any further. It's the man bites kneecaps. What more do you want? Exactly.
That's your only selling point. He's not like good at football. He just bites.
Oh, I don't know. He's just
he's
took
no
the-
better than a petulant toddler. You have to love him.
worst franchise that ever existed, and he elevated him to an actual respectable football team. I think that means that he's good at football, and he bites kneecaps. And
I don't know.
He's an absolute beauty. Again, if you need convincing at this point, it's already a lost cause. So, kneecap biting in the AHL, should we allow it? I think so.
No.
Yes.
No.
Why? Because you got shin pads. That's fine.
My point, though, that's my point. Like, you gotta dig through equipment to get to your kneecap. Like, at that point, it's just a hassle, and that's a delay of game penalty.
Well,
I don't care.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, if you can get to the kneecap by that point, then well done, you.
No. Absolutely not. Funnily enough, that is my argument for why they should allow drop kick goals in the NFL. I feel like you should be able to drop kick the ball through the uprights for a couple of points.
That's a rugby thing, isn't it?
It is a rugby thing, yeah. You can score a free kick in rugby, but yeah, I feel like if for whatever reason, like maybe you cannot make it to the end zone, but you can kick that ball through the uprights, you should get at least like 1.5 points or something.
They don't offer half points in rugby, do they?
No. But it's American football, so it's not rugby. You just
oh, jeez.
It's worth 3 points in rugby, just as an FYI.
So it's a field goal.
No.
All right, we're moving away from football and back into hockey because you can't kick the puck into the net in hockey because it's no points.
No, you can't, but you should be able to.
I disagree.
I feel like you should just be able to kick whatever thing you need.
You gotta watch the language because then the beer leaguers are gonna take that and run with it. They're just gonna start kicking everyone
to get it between whatever.
It's okay. I just told a Wild fan because they're like, why did we decide to do absolutely crappy tonight? And I said that's because we're going to get a Stanley chip this year. Sorry, I meant cup or a chip, one of the two.
Oh jeez.
And she is the enemy of technology.
Yeah, well, technology is the enemy of her.
I didn't do anything.
You didn't have to. The technology just it's got a mind of its own, and you by simply existing,
Wi-Fi
it's like
whole time.
On a good note, there was a bit of a scary incident that happened last night in the Abbotsford, Colorado game, in which Vasily Podkolzin kind of at the end of that game took a rough hit in the corner and actually had to be transported to the local hospital. It was a real scary scene. I'm not going to show any replays or anything like that, but he is continuing to be assessed by physicians as a precaution. But I mean, he's alert, he's responsive, all that, which is, thankfully it's best news you can hear out of that kind of thing. It's a fast game. Yeah.
He posted an update, like a picture update of himself in the hospital. He does look fine. But anytime you have a player that appears to be having convulsions on the ice after a hit, that is absolutely terrifying to see.
Absolutely. Super scary. And with the with the start that he had going into the season, 5 goals in 6 games for the Abbey Canucks and everything, it's we hope that he can turn around and make a quick recovery there. So we want to give all our best wishes to Vasily and hope that's a quick recovery. We can see him back there on the ice because he's a fun player to watch. I've had those couple insomniac nights where I'm staying up and I'm watching West Coast hockey. I mean, Abbotsford for one might have the cleanest uniform game in the entire league. So that's already getting me watching them. And then I see guys like Podkolzin in there, and they're a fun team. I've wanted to see them go places, but they've always had like Calgary or Coachella in their way. But again, that Jersey game is so clean. And I know I rag on AHL franchises that are just kind of boring reprints of their parent team, but I'm going to give Abbotsford a slide because their jerseys are clean. The Canuck logo is the best logo in the league, and they just need a good squad to fill in those jerseys, and I'll be very happy. And you guys know I'm right. You know I'm right.
Maybe about that, but you're not right about Detroit Lions.
We're not going back there because, again, I don't know how many times I can say it. I can't convince you if you're not willing to believe.
I think Dee's frozen. Either that or she's really good at looking like a statue.
It's possible that she's just staring at me about my Lions call again. But again,
no, I was trying to.
She's fighting there. It's okay.
She's working it out.
Yeah. One of these days, her technology will behave for her. Well, I'm gonna look at
my Wi-Fi. Apparently, it disconnected.
So if we're looking at like America, if we're looking at the AHL's version of the Lions, right? We need like an America's team in the AHL. Why not the Hartford Wolfpack? I mean, they are the only undefeated team in the league right now. Are they America's team?
I don't know if they're America's team, but they're definitely on a hot streak.
No, they definitely might be because, like, name another current AHL team that has a Hallmark movie about them.
True.
Oh, he's dying.
I am. It's that time of the year, where you just got to fight through whatever bug that is currently coursing through your body, which is exactly what I'm doing.
Or like go see a doctor.
I already got. Look, I have my bill from my last doctor visit. I'm not doing that again, even though I might have like fractured another bone in my hand. Thanks, beer league, but I need to at least like wait till the Christmas money gets in, because you know who's not America's team is the American health system. But we'll talk about that later. Because I want to focus more on like Dylan Garand and out there in Hartford. He's got that team photo. He really looks like he's staring into your soul there, and he probably looks at the shooters the same way. 9.65 save percentage, looking real strong heading into this one. Hartford, I didn't have the highest, I would say, expectations or anything for them, but they're it's early. It's only 4 games into the season, but I love their goaltending tandem. They got good old Louis Domingue there. I believe he's a righty. I love right-handed goalies. Shout out Michael Hutchinson. So I tend to think of myself as a one-man wolf pack, but this wolf pack is looking pretty strong to start off here. Isn't? Do you know who the Wolfpack are going to be playing? It's the Springfield Thunderbirds. I know Sam's been wanting to get after talking about them for a minute.
Yeah, so I have a friend who runs a kind of like not secretive AHL account, but he runs it. It's called AHL Memes, and yeah, homeboy kind of ripped into his own team, and he said, I said, because we were knocking on teams, and I said, seeing Providence in 6th makes me happy. And he said, seeing Springfield in dead last makes me happy. If there is an AHL draft lottery, I was joking around on opening night, like, yeah, this team is going to be this year's San Diego Gulls, but I didn't actually expect them to fulfill that dream.
Speaking of San Diego, did we curse them because we said they were on their revenge tour and they've lost both games since then? I really don't want to curse the Gulls. I want to see them succeed and get on the come up again.
Any call-ups that have affected it?
It's just 2 games. I'm trying not to get super down on them or anything. You know who I will get super down on though is the Barracuda. Like San Diego, okay. I know they didn't have the greatest year last year, but not the greatest year. I mean, one of historically the worst years I've ever seen out of a professional hockey team. But the Cuda had a not the best year last year too. Really not that much better than San Diego. They didn't have a great year the year before, and now they're starting off pretty rough once again. 5 games in, only 1 W. So I got some friends over there in Northern California who deserve to have a fun winter up there in San Jose, and they're not having that. It's been kind of a theme with this organization, kind of like with San Jose as a whole. They just kind of seem to be in reaping the consequences of being a good team in the 2010s, and now it's like they have very little in the AHL cupboard. They have nothing in the NHL cupboard other than the promise of a young up-and-coming assistant coach who I hope will take the league by storm one day. Shout out Ryan Warsofsky. And it's been tough for the fish. It's been tough for the fish and it's tough for me to watch them struggle like that. They've already given up 22 goals. I mean, not quite up to the Laval Rocket standard, but the next best team, or worst, I guess I would put it.
Where are they in standings?
They're technically above Coachella, but Coachella has played only 3 games, whereas San Jose's played 5. And Coachella is not going to stay there at 1 and 2. They're going to run up the standings really fast. I don't have the same confidence in the Barracuda, especially Thomas Bordeleau's up there with the Sharks, and he's grown into a bigger fish. So I don't see a light at the tunnel for this team unless Oscar Lindblom just goes completely crazy, which I suppose is possible, but I think it's gonna be a rough one.
There's another NHL to AHL.
Yep. I know. And he's a guy who I think everyone is rooting for to succeed at either level. I want to see him succeed with the Barracuda, honestly. I'd love to see some kind of light going on up there, and again in Northern California. It's been really rough for him.
Yeah, Oscar holds a special place in my heart, so I really want to see him do well.
Yeah. I mean, just in the hockey community in general, when Oscar Strong was a big thing, and to see him come back from all that to where he's at now with the CUDA, we hope to see more of that. I'd like to see him come back up with the Sharks. Again, just because he's down with the CUDA doesn't mean he's staying there. Again, we were reiterating this point.
Any of these guys can be called up to the parent club at any time.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't know about any of them. Like Dominic Shine can't. He's not on an NHL contract. So
Detroit just needs to stop holding a certain goaltender hostage.
It's going to be another 2 months, right? It's not going to be until Vasilevsky comes back that whole situation is really messing with a lot of teams' rosters and their cap structure. A lot of just like the business side of this game is like just because no one wants to give Tampa Bay a helping hand.
Yeah, does anybody else find that hilarious that like nobody wants to give up a goaltender right now because they know Tampa's gonna snatch him, unless it's Keith Kincaid?
Which
yeah,
is really
here's the thing is that Tampa Bay has never had to sit and deal with the consequences of their own actions.
Facts.
Yeah, and now it's like then they're not even like trying to like make a trade for someone and maybe like throw a draft pick away in order to get one of these goalies. They're just sitting there and waiting, and so all these other teams are like, okay, well, if that's the case, we're just going to hold on to all these goalies until Vasilevsky comes back. Then we'll start putting them all on waivers, and then by that point, everyone's going to have all their rooms situated, and then maybe I'll start my friendship with Alex Lyon, which is going to turn into us becoming best friends, and then it's going to.
You know what to do. That is the only thing I ever asked of you when we started this.
The only thing she says.
The only thing.
Oh, I know. Montreal is still holding on to Primo and Montembeault and Allen, right?
Yeah, they still have the 3.
Yeah.
Didn't Primo
So
win
this
the
is
other night?
He did. He
Did he
didn't
do well?
win. Yeah. Oh my God. He made some great saves. He was just like a little overpowered sometimes, but he made some incredible saves. He's definitely growing up and maturing. I have said it more times than probably anybody that that goalies take the longest to develop. They have the most specialized and nuanced skill set in the entire sport. They take the longest time to develop. Now, you might have a goalie that's really good right away, maybe only needs like 2 or 3 years in the AHL to get used to the pace of the game, can come in, be a backup, get really good in a couple of years, and then fight their way into the starting position, Carey Price. But not everybody's like that, right? Most goalies need 5, 6, 7 years to develop and then play backup for another, 2, 3, 4 years. And they're on the older end by the time that they're a starter. That's why most starting goalies are the older players on the team, because they take so long to develop. But once they are developed, they are it. Primo, I don't know that he's ever going to be your starting goalie, but once he's developed, might be really good in a 1A, 1B type tandem.
And this is a hill I am going to die on forever. I will forever say Carter Hart was brought up entirely too early.
Wow, Philly mismanaging a goalie. Who could ever imagine?
Unheard of.
I'm just saying,
in my life, what I have thought.
I'm just saying they brought him up after 18 games because that was the year where we went through like 900 goalies. But like they didn't send him back down. And look what it's done to him. Like, is he a great goaltender? Yes. Like, he has his moments where it's like you can see, all right, he needs to work on that.
Yeah, I mean, Dee's got a great point about just how, the development path that a lot of these goaltenders take. I mean, you look at a guy like Darcy Kemper going from Minnesota to Arizona to LA. I think he went from Minnesota to LA to Arizona. Then he went to Colorado, and then
won
all
a
of a sudden,
Stanley Cup.
right, exactly. And then
Also, can I please point out that Darcy Kemper started his professional hockey career with the Houston Aeros?
That's right, he did. That was before they were Iowa.
Yep.
Wow.
I remember watching Darcy Kemper start his professional career in Houston.
Did you look at him? You're like, wow, that's a Stanley Cup winning goaltender right there.
I mean, at the time, it was just like, hey, this is a young goaltender. Like, he could be something special one day. But I've always thought Darcy Kemper. Listen, Darcy Kemper is the single player in the National Hockey League that most embodies the energy of the Red Power Ranger.
Can you describe that to our listeners at home who might not be as familiar with the Red Power Ranger? What that entails?
No, it's just a vibe. Like, the Red Ranger is like the leader of the Power Rangers, usually, except for in Time Force when it's the pink Time Force Ranger, Jen Scott's the only, like, okay, anyway. It's like a whole technicality little loophole thing that gets her into like the leadership position. But for the most part, the Red Power Ranger is the leader of the Power Rangers. They like usually have like the most like leadership like qualities, like that you think of when you think of an actual leader, or they are like learning to develop those leadership qualities. Yeah, no, it's just he has that vibe. The Red Power Ranger is usually like the main character ranger kind of thing. Like, the story really revolves around the Red Ranger, so they just like have a presence, and they just like have the most like, I'm here to do my job and to lead my team kind of energy. Darcy Kemper has like always had that kind of energy. He's always, to me, if I was going to make anybody on like a hockey team the Red Power Ranger, it's going to be Darcy Kemper.
We're going to have to, like, by the end of the season, make our own AHL version of the entire Power Rangers force, and like,
oh, there are so many Power Rangers.
One. Well, we need the best examples to show our fans exactly how they line up with those qualities. I have to admit, haven't watched Power Rangers, and I would say probably at least 25 years. So I might have to.
I haven't watched Power Rangers in probably like a month and a half. So,
well, you're a little more recent than I am, so you're a little more well versed in that. So that might be your train to lead. I you could tell me like, oh, he's the Green Ranger, and I'm like, what does that mean?
No, usually the Green Ranger is a little bit more of like a supporting character, except for like the Mighty Morphin Green Ranger, right? Mighty Morphin Green Ranger, it's Tommy Oliver. Like, he is the guy. Like, he's that guy. He wasn't always the Green Ranger, though, because the green power coin, Rita made it all evil and everything, so it only had a limited power supply. He ultimately had to become the white Mighty Morphin Ranger, because Zordon like magically found another power coin for him. It's a big old loophole, like plot hole. But he became that. But eventually he did become a Red Ranger, Tommy Oliver. So after Tommy, though, Green Rangers tend to be a little bit more of like a supporting character. Sometimes they're an airhead. Like the Green SPD Ranger seems to be like an airhead, but he fully embodies living with ADHD, and I absolutely adore him for it.
That's I think that was the perfect monologue for this whole episode. Just living with ADHD.
I do that.
Yeah. Right here. And all of our listeners at home.
Tara for the win.
So, I kind of want to look a little forward here to our weekend of games coming up. Who do you all have on your beat schedule? I know Dee's going to be a little busy.
Yeah, always busy.
Weekends, retail, that sort of thing. Don't worry, I got your Halloween schedule here. Looks like the Vol is going to be on the road against Rochester and Syracuse. Upstate New York vibes.
Wilkes.
Yeah.
Wilkes is at home. They're playing Hartford and Hershey. However, I will not be there this weekend as I am going to see some ECHL action.
What do you think?
Historically, Laval does not do well in upstate New York.
Ooh, so they're going in for a fun one.
I mean, with Syracuse in particular, it's kind of hit or miss. The past however many seasons that I've been covering the team, it's been like one season Syracuse will just beat Laval into oblivion, and then the next season Laval will turn around and put up a brick wall in front of Upstate Medical Arena and like just block everything that the Crunch have. With the Americans, it's one of those things where they're usually pretty evenly matched teams. So it's always like a case of like it will go one way or the other, and it comes down to the wire.
Yeah, and Syracuse has Pyotr Kochetkov back, so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you might be real done. Or he might just try and fight half your roster. We don't know. What does the outlook look like for the Pens this weekend, Sam?
Well, they're playing Hartford, so Hartford has yet to lose.
America's
but Hershey, it could go either way. I know Coach said last night, like, yeah, hey, it's the first win against them, but let's not get excited. He's like, I told that to the guys in the locker room, like, our power play, we got lucky tonight, guys. Let's save that energy and keep it going into the weekend. So, he definitely hammered into the power play a little bit last night. That it's something that they need to work on. And they do. They got lucky last night.
Yep.
5 times. Sam Hood 20 or 2, not 20. He got lucky 2 times.
We were rooting for the Hood hat trick, but I guess we'll have to wait a little longer in the season for one of those.
He's a funny kid.
Yeah. The looks like the Griffins got a little dose of the Cleveland Monsters, a little bit of more of out of division action. And then they'll be playing Rockford for their first Central Division game of the season, which is a little for an AHL team to not have their first division game until the 5th game of the season is really strange, considering how, your schedule is like 95% division opponents. So
yeah, that's wild.
They started off 2 games at home against Colorado and then 2 games in Colorado. It was like a mini playoff series to start the season, which is actually great for a young team like Grand Rapids, especially because Colorado's like the second oldest team in the whole league, according to Coach Watson. So when you have a lot of young kids like that on the Griffins, it's kind of like a real sink or swim moment that you just kind of throw them in the water against a team like that has played together for a while, has got a lot of vets that, you can kind of look at it as like a bit of a preseason feel to kind of get into, rhythm for the actual division games. But I like the challenge that these young kids have had to go into a hostile environment and play a team like that in Colorado. And hopefully they'll be able to come in and be able to put, the Rockford Ice Hogs up on the old griddle and cook some bacon up because, well, for one, I'm getting hungry and I like bacon. But on the other end, you got the Wolves, who are going to be taking on Cleveland as well this weekend. And I just don't want a repeat of Wednesday's game. I'm not asking for much.
Cleveland's very hot and cold right now.
Chicago's very cold right now, so I'll take the hot and cold as long as they don't put me to sleep again. That'd be great. And outside of that, like, what are we got? We got some big matchups going on at all this weekend. Anyone's like, oh yeah, I'm really looking forward to that one. I know that, again, you kind of got a bit of, like, I don't want to call it David versus Goliath, but you got Hartford that's starting off hot against Springfield that's starting off not. And I always love those kind of matchups because it can be easy for the team that's coming in that's won 4 straight to just be like, oh yeah, no, we totally got this. And for the Thunderbirds to kind of come in there and kind of punch them in the mouth would be kind of flipping the script there a little bit. You never know what kind of opponent you're going to get in the night. So you've got to be ready every single night. Or Hartford could just blow them out of the water. Well, you never know.
Lehigh is off Saturday, which is really strange. But they play Hartford on Sunday at home. So that will be interesting. Because Hartford's number 1, and I know Lehigh is 4th. Actually, them and Wilkes-Barre are tied they're tied right now.
The Firebirds and the Barracuda are playing this weekend. I think that's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
One.
Also, the Eagles and the Wranglers should be a really good little weekend matchup.
Yeah.
I really want a Firebirds jersey. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, I've been meaning for a Potsy Firebirds uni. I've been waiting, honestly, for the Kraken Podorowski jersey, but Seattle refuses to give him the phone call, which is kind of rattling me at this point. But
justice for Potsy.
Exactly. So, but shout out to Ilya Solovyov, formerly of the Wranglers, now of the Calgary Flames. He just got the call up there. The Wranglers' blue line is really going to be, not only are they going to be missing Solovyov, but Jeremy Poirier kind of took some kind of injury and he's out indefinitely. Those are a couple of huge losses for the Wranglers there. So if Dustin Wolf wasn't already going to be doing great things, he's going to have to be doing some even greater things because I think that CUDA squad's going to be real desperate. They need wins and they need them early, or also otherwise they're going to start getting into that Barracuda spiral and getting that anchor on their ankle and just heading to the rock bottom of the standings once again. And I don't want to see it for them. I mean, I know someone has to be there, but why does it have to be the Barracuda every time?
Yeah.
So we're gonna try and avoid that. As for the San Diego Revenge Tour, they're gonna be taking on Abbotsford and Henderson, which kind of has me believing that we're a little premature in the San Diego Revenge Tour talk because it looks like they're about to go 2-4 in the month of October real quick. But
no. They're gonna go 3-3. They're gonna split it, just right down the middle.
I would love for them. I mean, if you're the Gulls and you go 500 for the first couple of months, is that like success? Because
that's a win. That's absolutely a win.
Absolutely. If you can get to 20 wins in 40 games and match your win output halfway through the season, that's a win. That's 100% a win.
Yeah, we're calling that a win.
Can I give a shout out to a player that I didn't really believe was going to do good things, and he's kind of trying to prove me wrong?
Absolutely. We're all about the shout outs here.
Welcome to the show, Bobby Brink. You got your first NHL goal.
Hey, back from the brink, as they say.
Yeah, because I really thought this kid was not going to be an NHL player. I really thought he was going to be stuck in the AHL.
Those are the moments that like I'm glad I was proven wrong in, you know, stuff like that. So
Yeah.
congratulations to Bobby Brink. And look at that, the Flyers up 3-0 going into the third period. There's no way they blow that game, right?
Never know. You don't know.
I know. I was just saying that because I have Matt Zuccarello on my fantasy team. I'd really like for him to show up. I'm not jinxing it intentionally for fantasy purposes or anything. I also got to talk about. I got to talk about the Griffins and how badly I need Zach Aston Reese to score a goal against the Monsters this weekend. Have you guys seen the latest announcement from the Griffins?
Their goal songs?
Yes, each player has their own unique goal song now, and no Taylor Swift and no High School Musical already has me very geeked out for it. But Zach Aston Reese,
No High School Musical is a tragedy, actually.
Oh,
having a goal song list without "We're All in This Together" on it, please.
Emil Vero, come on, bro.
Well, yes, Emil Vero with the most finished thing ever, the Team Finland IIHF World Championship goal song. Yeah, that's I mean, I love it personally for him, but talk about being obscure. But Zach Aston Reese with the Rickroll, if and when he scores, is going to be the greatest thing ever. I hope he has a hat trick on Friday.
What would your goal song be?
Ooh. Can't Stop by the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
That makes the most amount of sense, actually.
I know. I came up with that completely on the fly. I didn't have that one loaded up in the chamber. That was completely
that is
like grabbed it out of the cloud.
That is the most correct answer I've ever heard, actually.
I'm kind of proud about that one.
Sam, what's your goal song?
I'm looking through my playlist right now because that's a really hard one to think about.
That makes me feel even better because I just really just snatched it out of the air.
Oh, I know what mine would be. It's "Man, I Feel Like a Woman" by Shania Twain.
That's actually a really good one. I was expecting Highway to the Danger Zone, but that's a really good one.
I don't know. I'll have to go with something Justin Bieber, I guess. I don't even know. Like,
okay, Sam's is "Beauty and a Beat" by Justin Bieber featuring Nicki Minaj.
Okay, there we go.
I can't change my goal song to WAP, right? Like, that's not acceptable.
No.
I mean, yeah, we definitely want to keep it like, yeah.
Okay, that's
able
fair.
to air on the television.
That's fair. So some of my other highlights here on this, on top of the Rickroll, 12-foot tall Elmer Soderblom's got I Feel Good by James Brown, which again is another just vibe song. I can imagine just dancing around to that after he scores. Marco Kasper from Austria, of course, going with Falco, not Rock Me Amadeus, which I would have expected for Amadeus Lombardi, but he actually went with Apache by the Sugar Hill Gang, which is going to have everyone in Grand Rapids jumping on it. Let's see, we got some Sebastian Costa is taking a page out of the Red Wings playbook with Without Me by Eminem, so I really want a goalie goal this year because, I mean, that would be hype. Tyler Spezio, the blast from the past, Fortunate Son. Like, he's in a Huey and ready to get into the jungles of Vietnam. I kind of love it. We got Jump Around. We got Africa, Barbara Streisand. Like, I really love the selections here by the Griffins. It's like top quality taste in music pretty much all around. Again, I have to talk to Milviro about his pick, but other than that, like I need to know who's the DJ in that locker room. And I need to know like the game day vibes. Now that I'm looking at the goal songs, I need to know like the pregame music on top of it.
Hey, real quick, the Colorado Avalanche are about to lose their first game of the season to the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Kidding.
I guess they are human.
They are my
I
parents.
hate it here. Also, in
man.
surprising news, the Habs are tied with the Jackets in the third.
And
Is
the
that
Flyers are
surprising?
leading the Wild.
It is surprising. The
And
Habs,
the
like,
Red Wings are losing to the Jets. That's gross.
that's rough, buddy.
Well, that's what you get for not having Alex Lyon in net anyway.
Okay, they've only scored one goal. Is Lyon gonna pick the corners? I don't think so.
You never know.
Unbelievable. So we've got last week's action covered here in the AHL. We've got this week's action covered here in the AHL. Who is America's team? Is it Hartford? Are we going with Hartford? Is
Yes.
this going to be a thing? We're just going to pick America's team.
Every week we're going to pick America's new team.
It was San Diego. Now it's Hartford. You know what? San Diego might just be my team this year. I'm all
Yeah,
about
I
the
think
Golden
that's more accurate.
Yeah.
I think America's team might be the Rochester Americans.
It's hard to argue considering
There's a lot of evidence in their favor. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, well, I almost missed this. Utica has no wins on the year. Granted,
I love that.
3 games early, but we
They
got to
could
talk.
keep it that way forever if they wanted to. Utica is a frustrating team. If your team plays in that division, they are frustrating because they never look the same from night to night, and yet somehow they always manage to beat your team.
So what you're saying?
It's the Rocket. They always manage to beat the Rocket somehow.
So what you're saying is that they're going to get their first win of the year against Laval.
It would not surprise me. It would not surprise me. They're a frustrating team because like they win games they have no business winning. They lose games that they should have blown the other team out of the water.
Well, Wednesday, November 1st is their next game against the Rockets, so I would expect Utica to put up a nice fat W in that one.
I would also expect that.
Kyle Criscolo deserves better than being winless after 3 games. Oh, I didn't realize he was actually from New Jersey. That makes sense and why he would go there. I hope he makes the Devils. I hope he outproduces JQ. He's not going to, but
You can dream.
a man can dream. And you know what? I can probably make it happen in NHL, but
Oh, I thought you were like taking out somebody's kneecaps or something. I was really excited. I was like,
I got Dan Campbell on speed dial, man. You say the word.
That's also what Utica gets for not learning how to keep their lights on last season.
We will never forget. You wonder why we get blocked so often from.
Listen, I chirped them all season last season, didn't get blocked.
Was it worth it, Sam?
It was totally worth it.
Okay. Well,
Dan Bradley would laugh every single time. He goes, Sam, you're going to get us blocked. I said, well, you know what? I haven't so far, so let's just roll with it.
Oh, I love it. All right. We've got. I just want to make sure we're not missing anything. And if there's anything like really embarrassing, like I'm glad I caught that Utica bit and we were able to go on and kind of cover the comments a little bit. I mean, we're still just most teams have just played about 6 games here, some 4, some 3. Again, looking at you, Utica and Rochester and Coachella. But you know, this early in the season, it's hard to get a vibe on what's going on, but I'm all about it. I am excited. We're just finishing out the month of October here. What do you guys have for your Halloween costumes coming up? I know you got something cooking.
I have nothing.
Nothing?
I don't like Halloween.
I don't know if I can accept that answer.
I am not a Halloween person. I don't like it.
Whoa. What? Why?
I just don't. I never have. Even as a little girl, I didn't like it.
Like you just don't like the candy. You don't like.
Oh, I love
Yeah,
the candy.
Sam's dad is actually Dr. Wonka, Willy Wonka's father.
He loves candy, so that would actually make sense.
Okay, well, Willy Wonka's dad did not. Notably, in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, that's the reason Willy Wonka runs away to open the candy stores, because he was never allowed to have candy. I also won't be. I will not be like fully dressing up as anything that I would normally be dressed up as for Halloween. I am going as Cowgirl D for Halloween, which basically just means I'm wearing my normal clothes and putting a cowboy hat on. But that's mostly because I'll be working on Halloween. It's in the middle, like early week, this year. So we're having a trick-or-treat event at the store on Saturday. However, on Saturday, I have had tickets to a concert for Ages. So I will be going to that concert on Saturday. It's a country show. So I'm basically just going to be wearing my normal clothes. So since I have to leave work, drive 45 minutes home, and then drive an hour to the venue, I have to be as ready for the show as possible. So I can't really do a full costume. So I'm just putting a cowboy hat on top of the clothes I normally wear.
My best friend and roommate, she is a server, as her second job, but her full-time job depends on the weather. So she's basically a server. They are allowed to dress up Tuesday, and she is going as a female Jack Skeleton.
And hey, Sam, it's now 3-2 in favor of Philly.
Oh God, I need to shut up. Bobby Brink, get another goal.
Well, as of right now, it stands as the game winner. But anyway,
yeah, that escalated quickly.
Yeah, will the Flyers have choked it away? Find out on next week's episode of the Holy GrAHL, because that's it for tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Over there, that's Samantha Wismer. Down there is Deanna McFeron. I'm Andrew Rinaldi. Thank you once again for joining us for another fun week of vibes and AHL action. Don't forget to like and subscribe our podcast, The Holy GrAHL, and join us for next week's fun, in which case you will find out if the Flyers indeed choked it away. That's all for this week. Bye-bye now.